got excited there.
Yeah.
Wanted to get to the adoption of the 2020 budget. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council members, we're pleased to bring before you the proposed final levy for the 2020 budget. We have four actions actually to be considered tonight, and so the first is actually holding a public hearing as part of the 2020 budget process. And I can go through the presentation before the public hearing, or if you wanted to open it up as soon as I finish this listing, either way is acceptable. And then the second through the fourth items here, second would be to adopt a resolution adopting the 2020 budget. And we have the amount listed based on the staff report and information in your packet. We also have a motion to adopt another resolution approving the 2019 tax levy collectible in 2020 in the amount of $3,479,283. And then the fourth action that you would have as a part of this is to approve the 2020 salary wage schedule, which is included in the packet for City of Little Canada staff members. So just as a little recap, we began the preliminary budget process early this summer with some preliminary workshops, and shortly after our strategic planning process, we brought the actual preliminary budget forward for consideration at the City Council workshop in September, and then for approval at the September 25th City Council meeting. And the Council adopted a levy increase of 4.99%. So that's the amount that was certified to Ramsey County as preliminary levy. And we have a brief presentation going through on some of the history of that process, and if we could get the folks in the back to put up a PowerPoint here from the HDMI cord, we can go through that presentation.
Oop, there it was.
There we are. Okay. So as I was mentioning, we had the strategic plan early in the year, and then we adopted several points of the strategic planning process that are incorporated into the 2020 budget. And this is something that we found very helpful from a staff level. We utilized some of these points. The first item there is enhancing identity and empowering community. And under that, we've got a couple areas that we focused on, or that we implemented in this proposed budget. And that's establishing criteria and method to get youth involved. It's something that we have some funding dedicated towards that. Identifying ways to publish newsletter on city website in different languages, also an initiative that we plan to focus on in 2020. Under the heading of creating operational efficiencies, we have identify and prioritize core zoning code changes, and we've got some funding dedicated towards that. That some of those discussions have already begun through our final revision of the comprehensive plan as well. We also have conversion of address files to electronic records, and there's another item in your consent agenda tonight authorizing the company with which we would hope to use 2019 revenues to get that process started. $40,000 is dedicated towards that process. And also Public Works Maintenance 1 apprentice position is budgeted in the 2020 budget, and that will utilize a funding source in our general fund. Under the heading of maximizing city assets to catalyze development, we've got a reorganization of the Community Development Department that we proposed earlier this year. We're currently in the hiring process for a Community Development Director Planner position, and the impact to the 2020 budget is $40,000 additional, and so that's a little over 1% of the general fund budget, and so that's incorporated in this proposed budget. Bringing developers to review market demand and look at redevelopment opportunities is also something that we're planning to focus on next year, and establishing a parcel inventory for development opportunities, specific redevelopment sites. And then lastly, on mandating action and accountability, that heading, we have two specific items: identifying ongoing steps for our electronic record transition, and as I mentioned, we're getting underway with that already this meeting, and then scheduling regular meetings to discuss long-term goals and progress. That's something with our, on our agenda tonight, we have our proposed council meeting and work session schedule, and we can specifically identify some of those workshops for that purpose. This next slide is just a brief overview of how our property taxes are distributed between our jurisdictions here. As you can see, the county has the lion's share of the overall property tax amount that individual property taxpayers pay, 44 cents on the dollar. Our school district, whichever school district you're in, either the Roseville School District or the White Bear School District, this is based on the Roseville School District's amount. It's approximately 26% of that tax dollar. The city's portion is only 22% or 22 cents on every dollar. And then the other category is a combination of about 4 different categories, including everything from mosquito control district to watershed and things like that, make up about 8% of the dollar. And I'm going to transition over to Brenda here, going specifically through some of this additional information.
Here is our property tax levy, our general property tax levy here for the city of Little Canada. Last year we were at $3,339,258 in this proposed final levy that we have in front of you tonight. We're at $3,479,283. That is a change of $140,025 or 4.19%. As Chris mentioned, the preliminary levy in September, we were at 4.99%. We've got it down to 4.19%. The biggest change that we did between September and tonight is that we took the $40,000 that we thought we needed for the address files records conversion, and we're proposing to use that with 2019 revenues for building permits that came in over the budget. For that. And we had some small other changes, but we're at 4.19% tonight. That change of $140,025 from last year, the biggest changes to that levy, the first one is that Public Works Maintenance 1 position, $23,490 is funded with general fund dollars. In that, and as Chris had pointed out, that was identified as part of the strategic plan. Ramsey County provides police services, and that contract came in at $22,037 over 2019. Elections occurs every other year in Minnesota, and 2020 is an election year, and so we have $20,500 in the budget for that amount. Fire services with Little Canada Fire Department, based on that contract, that's $13,778. Public Works, we took a detailed look at contractual services in that budget. We increased things such as salt and striping services, and those increases were $13,750. Dispatch services with the county is $6,050. And then we are asking council to look at the contingency this year. It hasn't been in prior year's budgets, but that we have at $15,000. Our gross levy, as I had said, is 4.19%, and that here is showing the changes in prior years. The 14.19% that is higher than prior years, but we are funding approximately 1.5 FTEs in the general fund with that and these other initiatives identified in the strategic plan. And we were able to keep it at 4.19%, so lower than it could have been because we found some efficiencies in the budget. We had some health insurance savings that we were able to identify and some other savings throughout the budget to keep that low. What does that mean for Little Canada residents here on this slide? And first we just wanted to look at between the city tax rate going down here in 2019 to 2020. We've got 26.131%, 25.676%. But the county tax rate is anticipated to go down, the school district, the other taxing jurisdictions. So it continues to trend down as it did last year. And then we also are showing for residents that are in District 624 what that tax rate looks like. And as our tax capacity, so our taxable values in the city of Little Canada, as they go up, that tax rate goes down. And so our tax capacity throughout the whole city went up 5.51%, but the tax rate is predicted to go down 1.74% based on the preliminary levies the county received. What does that really mean, though, for our residents in Little Canada? Well, we can't look at every single home in Little Canada. We can look at our median value home and what we know about that. And so Ramsey County has told us that our median value home here in the city, that was at $255,800 in 2019, increased in value by 8.6% to 2020. And so that value now is $277,800. And so by knowing that, and knowing what the tax levy that the City of Little Canada is proposing, that's increasing by 4.19%, that median value home is anticipated to have paid taxes last year of $631, and based on the levy in front of us tonight, it's increasing to $682 or $51 per year, or 8.1%. That is just that one home. We've got several homes in the City of Little Canada, and so here I've got that 23% of homes in the City of Little Canada. Looking at all the taxing jurisdictions, so their total tax bill, they will see a decrease or 0% increase will be 23% of our residents. 54% will see a 0.1% increase to a 10% increase. And then 23% will see over a 10.1% increase. And those 23% of those residents that are seeing over that 10.1% increase, that's based on their individual home and what their market value did. So this one median value home went up 8.1%, but they experienced increases over that 8.1%. And so that's why they're seeing the increases in taxes. As you know, the City of Little Canada doesn't assess properties. That assessment value, or that taxable value, that's set by Ramsey County Assessor's Office. And what does that $682 pay for in 2020? What that's paying for is police services at $306, fire services, including the fire equipment levy that we levy, of $120, public works services, including the infrastructure fund levy of $94, parks, recreational, and community services at $84, general government at $54, community development at $22, and then we've got contingency at $2.85 for the total tax bill of $682 for 2020.
And that's based on that hypothetical median home.
That is based on that hypothetical median value home, yes. 2020 operating budgets, I just wanted to review this because this is what you're going to be asked to adopt tonight, not only the general fund, but all our funds. Our general fund, first of all, is a balanced budget tonight, which means our revenue and our expenditures are equal. We have some special revenue funds here in the City of Little Canada. We have 4 of them: our Economic Development Fund, our Cable Fund, our Special Recreation Fund, and our Recycling and Disposal Fund. Those are what land in that $647,323 budget there. And those are not funded with any property tax levies. The debt service funds are at the expenditures at $455,098. Those are also not funded with property tax levy dollars. Our capital project funds, those are include 2 things. Both are TIF funds, and those are funded with tax increment revenues. And then we have what we consider our other capital project funds. And those were part of the 20 to 2024 capital improvement plan that the council adopted in November. And those are the projects that are included in there. And then we have our enterprise funds, which is our water and sewer operating. Those are funded with charges for services, so no property tax levy. And then lastly, we have our new internal service fund for insurance. Our insurance will include our health insurance, property taxes, or property insurance and workers' comp. General fund expenditures, here's just a quick overview that police services in that general fund budget, they're the largest portion at 41.58%, and then it goes down to community development at 9.55% of the expenditure budget. And then our general fund revenues, our biggest portion for the general fund is the property tax levy that you're being asked to adopt tonight. Debt service, I just wanted to remind the council and the citizens that, yes, we have 2 bond issues and 3 note issues here in the city of Little Canada, but none of them are funded with the property tax levy. The bonds for 2014A, that is paying for a public works building, and that is being funded by our water and sewer operating budget. And then we have some 15A bonds, and those are being funded with tax increment revenues. One last thing, the state does provide some property tax relief to taxpayers, and there's some items, the homeowner's homestead credit refund, a special property tax refund, the renter's property tax refund, and then there's even a senior citizen property tax deferral program. And you can contact the Minnesota Department of Revenue. They are based basically on income levels, whether you qualify, but that special property tax refund, if your property taxes increase by over 12%, you can file for some relief on that. But there's the Minnesota Department of Revenue website and then a phone number. Otherwise, you can contact the finance department here or myself here at the City of Little Canada. I can help you go through that. So here's the next steps that we're asking for tonight is to introduce public comment, to adopt the budget, adopt the tax levy, and then the salary schedule for tonight.
Thank you. So this is a public hearing, so I don't know if there's any questions on this or comments that people have. If not, we'll ask the audience if there's any questions or comments.
Oh, yeah,
Can I have you come up to the podium,
sure.
please?
Yeah, my name's Gunnar Bruvelis. I live in Little Canada. I moved here back in 1992. Anyway, my question is, my property tax went up to 26.5%, and I realized by listening to you that there's nothing that you can do about it because I have to go to the Ramsey County and to the assessor and probably have them come and look at the property again, or come in and look at it. So then I guess the reason why the increase for Little Canada is 26.4% for the property here is because of the what the assessor said. Is that correct?
Go ahead. Yes.
Primarily, yes, the levy is one portion of it, but for your instance, it is to do with your assessed value. But we would be, if you would contact me tomorrow, I'd be happy to go online and look at your property tax bill and direct you as best as I can on that.
Okay, and then my understanding is that if I wanted to, I'm obviously, you said that it's 12%. Anybody over 12% could get some sort of aid. Would that aid be where you be taking out a loan then, and you'd have to pay this loan back? Or is it something that it does actually lower the tax?
I think you would still be required to pay your property taxes, and then you would get a refund through the state. But I would be happy to look online tomorrow with you, or later this week, and check that out for you.
Can I comment?
Sure.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
When you file your income taxes at the end of the year, in next April, when you file your income taxes,
Right.
you also have the opportunity at that point in time to file a property tax refund if your property taxes are over 12%. So then they'll review, that will go to the state, and then in probably about August or September, you'll know what the dollar amount was on your it depends on what your property tax dollars was, and it'll tell you what the refund amount is. when you submitted it with your income taxes. Then in about September of next year, you'll get a check back from the state with that refund amount.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Other questions from anyone? Anyone on the council? Christian?
Yeah, I see that total expenses was greater than total revenues. My understanding is that that is happening because we have fund reserve in
Good.
certain funds.
Yes, and I
And
think.
how long can we sustain that extra expenditure? That's my question.
And great question. I meant to point that out tonight, and I didn't. We look at the fund reserves in all the funds, and the biggest change between expenditures and revenues is in that capital projects fund, and that is primarily due to County Road D and Greenbrier not being done in 2019, and so those funds are available in those capital project funds, and those projects will be done in 2020. But we do look, that's why we did the 5-year capital improvement plan, to especially look at those capital improvement funds to see that we have adequate fund reserves to pay for the projects not only in 2020, but in the next 5 years.
So the residents shouldn't be concerned that we have a significant deficit.
Correct. They
Okay.
should, and we will have online, and we already have online in your packet, 90-plus page budget book, and it has detail on every fund here in the city of Little Canada and shows those fund reserves.
Any other questions? All right,
I'll make a motion, if I could.
Absolutely.
Make a motion to close the public hearing on budget.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second to close public hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
So, Mr. Mayor, let's see, which one do we start with? I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2019-12-138, which is a resolution adopting a 2020 budget for the city of Little Canada, and dispense with reading of the resolution.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2020 budget. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.